Shout out to our sponsor, Loot Anime.
Get a crate of anime and manga goodies for just $24.95 each month.
Use offer code THEKNOW and get $3 off a new subscription. That makes it even cheaper.
Yeah.
Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashely Jenkins.
I'm Meg Turney.
Retro reboots are all the rage these days, but Nintendo might be taking that just another step further with the Nintendo NX.
The latest rumors, which jive with some old rumors we've heard about the system, indicate that Nintendo may be ditching optical discs for cartridges.
It's like going back to vinyl! Now we get to blow in our cartridges all over again just to make our games work.
It works, damn it.
Who missed that?
We both did, jinx. We're bringing that back too. Okay, this cartridge-based speculation has a slightly more solid footing now than your run-of-the-mill video game news speculation, although it does involve just a bit of reading between the lines here for financial projections
Of all
time.
things.
Yeah.
Nintendo's Japanese ROM chip producer, a company called Macronix, has been talking a lot about Nintendo in recent financial reports. Macronix and Nintendo go way, way back. They've been console BFFs as far back as the Nintendo 64.
While Macronix is best known to produce a BIOS or serial flash memory chip for a number of consoles, they've done as much for the Wii U and the PS4, for instance, they also produce the cartridges for the 3DS for Nintendo.
According to Japanese financial website MoneyLink and translated by Nintendo Life, Macronix has been talking up a pretty huge financial bump in the coming months. Macronix chairman Wu Mian stated that the company's ROM sales are expected to increase in the latter half of this year, and it will have a large growth potential.
And there's even more data that Macronix simply isn't just expecting a surge of 3DS game sales. They've
there's nothing, Pokemon's not gonna do that.
Nah. You get a bump, but not a surge. They've actually been testing a new 32 nanometer ROM chip. The 3DS uses a 75 nanometer ROM chip by the company, so hey, something new.
Yeah, everybody knows all about the nanometers. Come on, you're not up to date on your nanometer ROM chip tech.
We are completely, and didn't have to ask anybody.
I didn't know they made them that small. Nanometers, like when you get down to like nanometers, I'm like, this is the future.
Macronix's fiscal year ends in March 2017, which is the same time that the NX launches, meaning the company is expecting the NX to boost their chip sales. At least that's what we're reading here. The chairman specifically cited the NX's launch as the driver behind upcoming projections.
He went on to say that because Nintendo has announced that the new platform will be launched in March next year, orders should be placed in advance. Therefore, the operating revenue of Macronix in the fourth quarter may be as good as the third quarter.
So the NX and Macronix financial status are definitely linked. The question is what level are they linked?
Time to pull out the red conspiracy strings. It's certainly possible that Macronix is simply producing a new BIOS or system chip or something like that for NX as they did for the Wii U, but the timing of their financial projections indicates otherwise.
An increase in the third quarter would make sense for a component that was essential to the console itself. That would fall in line with mass production, getting consoles built and ready to ship in time for launch.
But expecting mass profit at the same time as launch suggests it's tied to software sales, not just hardware.
So yeah, Macronix is definitely gearing up for something big here, and while a move from optical discs to cartridges seems like backward thinking to some, there are some big benefits, so I don't think we're
against cartridges.
Yeah,
they're fun.
We're all for it.
They're harder to scratch when you drop them.
That's true.
And for a time going to optical discs was like, it was all the rage. It was actually hurt Nintendo in the past when they refused to shift over from cartridges. It took them a while to make that change.
Yeah, weirdly enough, Nintendo and Sony had a deal in place in the early 90s where Sony was going to produce a disc drive for the Super Nintendo. Nintendo betrayed Sony at the last minute, breaching their contract and going in a totally different direction.
However, Sony kept working on what was supposed to have been the Nintendo PlayStation in the meantime, biding their time until the next console's generation started, and that's when they unleashed the Sony PlayStation, which was a disc-based system as opposed to Nintendo's cartridge-based Nintendo 64.
And it cost Nintendo, which
boy did it!
We don't even need to tell you. Squaresoft was originally going to develop Final Fantasy VII for the Nintendo 64, but the cartridges didn't have the proper amount of storage for the game's pre-rendered cutscenes, so they ultimately abandoned ship for the PSX.
After all that drama, it seems unthinkable that a modern console maker would ever consider a shift back to cartridges, even though it means better load times. But considering the limitations of optical discs and the leaps made in ROM chips, maybe it's not so far-fetched.
Many say that this might be proof that the NX is a primarily a handheld system, but so far mostly just speculation based on patents. We don't know. While Nintendo hasn't gone out of their way to specifically call the machine a console, they specifically didn't call it that actually, all signs do point that the NX is not replacing the 3DS in the way it would replace the Wii U.
Still, it is possible that this means the NX is a handheld or a handheld hybrid, or that Nintendo has some other kind of handheld system coming out, but our money is probably more on the NX. It's really a console that uses cartridges. Has upsides.
Yeah, so I guess we're betting on it being a console, but we're not going to use the word console so we can be all cryptic. For one, removing an optical disc drive would make the NX smaller, which would be great because I already have so much crap under my TV, and much cheaper. Nintendo has said they won't be selling the new system at a loss, so that would fall in line with them getting the console as inexpensive to produce as possible.
Of course, the main issue remains, just like it was before, storage space, but maybe that's not as critical with current generation machines anymore?
Yeah, rumors place the new 32nm ROM chip designed by Macronix as having a 32 gig capacity versus the 8 gig capacity of the old Nintendo 3DS cartridges.
So it can be 4 times the size of a 3DS game. Considering the Blu-ray storage is about 50 gigabytes for current generation consoles, it's lower, but it's not that bad. It's still a decent gap to make up.
Yeah, however, the PS4 and the Xbox One, which use Blu-ray discs, don't even use the disc drives to run the games. They're just there to dump data for installation, which is why we all have to friggin' wait for everything. In general, Blu-ray disc speeds can't really keep up with modern gaming hardware anyway.
Really, Wii U is the only console that actually seems to use its disc drive to run games, and they try and keep their patches and their downloads and all that to a minimum because they like to ship finished games.
Snap. Wii U discs only have a 25 gig capacity, so a 32 gigabyte cartridge would actually be a step up in terms of data.
But they could just make use of a decently sized hard drive and use a combination of cartridges and downloads. I mean, that probably wouldn't be too much different than how everyone else handles it, and it would keep costs down in the system itself. Win-win?
Plus, imagine all the possibilities Nintendo doing, like all-out retro-themed cartridge designs. If there's anybody who loves retreading old stuff, it's Nintendo, and we love it.
And me, apparently. Yeah. I didn't think I was that kind of person, but the second you said that, I'm on board. So either the NX is a cartridge-based system, or Nintendo's got a new handheld that's cartridge-based, or Nintendo's just pulling a fast one on us all over again, and the system runs on ramen or something.
Yeah, you just like pour the broth, the noodles in every few hours, and then the games will run, and then you get hungry because you're playing them, and then you eat them.
I mean, I'd be down for like a broth-cooled system, so the broth heats up as it pulls heat out of the system, and then it softens the noodles, and you have a snack, and then you just pour more in. Love it!
The future would be so good if we ran it.
Delicious, delicious future.
Yeah, unfortunately, we won't have any confirmation of whether or not Nintendo's gonna have cartridges or ramen noodles or any good stuff. Apparently, not even at E3.
Yeah, the company detailed its E3 plans, or almost complete lack thereof, just yesterday, stating that they wouldn't even be doing their typical E3 Nintendo Direct. Instead, they'll be doing a Zelda Treehouse, which would be cool any other time, except it's during the biggest video game event of the year.
What are you doing, Nintendo? You look at me in the eyes. What are you doing? I want to hit you on the nose.
We need to have a talk.
Come on. Someday we'll eventually get NX hardware details. Someday, but apparently not at E3 where everybody else does their shit. Why?
What do you guys think of the NX possibly going back to cartridges? Retro, forward thinking at the same time? Or is it just old and busted and weird? Let us know in the comments.
Let us know. To get all those latest NX rumors and Nintendo updates, whether they actually happen or not, like this video and subscribe to the know.
Thanks to Loot Anime for sponsoring this update.
Loot Anime sends you over $60 worth of cool stuff starting at $24.95 each month.
Every crate has a unique theme, and this month's theme is Unity.
It's the power of teamwork.
The new crate features exclusive items from Fullmetal Alchemist, Dragon Ball Z, The Boy and the Beast, and more.
Get it before it's gone, guys, because they almost always sell out.
It only runs you $24.95 per month, and if you use offer code THEKNOW, you get $3 off a new subscription.
Do it! Team Rocket! Teamwork!
Team Rocket?
Yeah! Get that Pikachu!